Aloha. It is time to talk about another profound moment during an amazing journey by an interesting person. And when you're a professional athlete, sometimes your entire career is an amazing journey. Today, joining us is Mike McKenna, who spent 18 years in the AHL and NHL. He was drafted by Nashville in 2002. He finished his career with the Philadelphia organization in 2019. And there were definitely some profound highs and a few profound lows. Mike, welcome. Why don't we start with, say, February 2009, which was a very big high.
Oh, it was for sure. I mean, that was my initial NHL moment. I got my first games with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And as you said, I had quite a few games leading up to it in different leagues. I played in the ECHL, which is AA level, started my pro career in 2005. Made it up to the American League by 2007 with a couple stints. And the next thing you know, I'm in the NHL signing my first contract. And the travel to get to this moment was incredible. You know, I flew in from Norfolk, Virginia. It was Super Bowl Sunday. I'll never forget it. I get to the airport as quick as I can, hop on the plane, and lo and behold, the Super Bowl is in Tampa Bay. I'm flying to Tampa Bay over the Super Bowl. I can see the fireworks going off as I'm landing. I joined the team. I've never had an NHL contract, signed my first NHL contract. And then the picture that we're looking at now was 2 days later in Long Island, my first NHL game I ever played against the New York Islanders. I came in relief, stopped all 11 shots that I faced, but it wasn't my first start. The travel leading up to it, though, was just incredible. A whirlwind and a pretty cool moment in my chapter, in my career, my journey.
Amazing as we talk today about Tampa Bay too, as they are the current Stanley Cup champs, and the Super Bowl was also in Tampa this year. So, but let's go back to your career for a moment. As we said, great high, great profound moment there. You grew up in the St. Louis area, probably a Blues fan. You had your opportunity to play for the Blues in 2012, and sort of you did.
Yep.
Tell me a little more there if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, it was a dream come true to sign with my hometown team. I grew up going to every game as a kid. My father, my grandfather, off-ice officials with the Blues. So what that means is they're the people that take the statistics. You know, they write them down, they send them into the NHL, plus minus goals, assists. They did all of that. So that afforded me the availability to go watch almost every game as a kid, because back then the off-ice officials were paid with season tickets, not with money, season tickets. Right. So you get 2 season tickets, and me being an only child, man, I was in the money. You know what I mean? It was great. So that really planted the seed for me as a young hockey player. And obviously my dad, grandfather played. My grandfather was one of the founding members of hockey in St. Louis in the 50s, when there was, you know, a dozen people that had to travel 2 hours to find a sheet of ice to play. He was one of them. So that opportunity to sign with the Blues in 2012 was really special. I didn't get to play with the big team, but even being in the organization, was really, really cool. And what was special about it was the day before I got married. So you combine those two, wow. Get married, sign with your hometown team. And then as a goaltender, you get to design your mask and all the cool things that go along with it. Really cool chapter.
Sounds fantastic. I don't want to go from that double high to a more profound low, but I've got one picture I'm going to put up here. And it is definitely something when you were in the minor leagues that you got to experience. That was one of those lower moments. Please tell me what's going on here in this photo.
Well, here's the thing. This looks like a low moment, and at the time it was, but I can tell you, thankfully, nobody was injured. Nothing was damaged beyond the bus. And we were able to actually play hockey that night. So what happened was we were traveling from Portland, Maine to Providence, Rhode Island to play a minor league game in the American Hockey League. I'm with the Portland Pirates at the time. Kevin Dineen is our coach. And lo and behold, we hear this huge bang on the back right of the bus, and a tire had blown. Now, we don't know why that happened, and we don't really know what started the fire, whether it was hydraulic. Who knows? I'm not a mechanic. I can't really tell you. Bottom line, the right rear went up in flames, and our bus driver, Clyde the Glide, pulls over, and he gets off the bus, and we can see this white smoke at the time, and we're not really thinking anything of it because we knew a tire had blown, and like those things can happen. If you ride buses long enough, you probably experience something similar to that, but not this, not what you're looking at right now. And we got over to the side of the road. Clyde gets off the bus, gets to the grass, and Clyde was about 70 years old. And I've never seen Clyde move so fast in my life. He turned around and came running back on the bus. He goes, "Everybody off, we're on fire." And we all kind of went, "Whoa, okay." We didn't expect this. Well, as soon as he said that, that's when we started to see this black smoke coming over the side of the bus, over the top of the bus. And let me tell you, we were moving, and we had a player on our team who happened to be our tough guy. He fought a lot, but he was the nicest guy you could ever imagine, named Mike Hoffman. Now, not the Mike Hoffman that's in the NHL currently for the St. Louis Blues, another Mike Hoffman.
Right.
Mind you, this is how crazy my career had been for the number of teams I'd played on. I played with 2 Mike Hoffmans during my career. Well, 6'5", 250-pound Mike Hoffman starts pushing people out of the way like George Costanza getting off the bus. The flames are coming. And sure enough, we all get off the bus and we go to one side. A firefighter comes up. He goes, "You don't want to breathe that in. Go the other way." We walk past the burning bus to where you see this picture taken from. We were on the nightly news. The game was delayed by, I don't know, 2.5 hours because we had to get another bus. The equipment was fine. The fire wells held up on the bus. The equipment was okay, but it smelled like smoke. And we were okay through the first period. By the second and third, I think smoke inhalation set in. We were not great. We ended up losing something like 7-3. I wasn't even supposed to start the game, but my goalie partner at the time refused to start because the gear smelled so bad. So I was called into action, took the loss. And it's funny looking back at it now in what was a serious situation, but a quintessential minor league moment with your bus on fire.
Well, let's go to another minor league moment, a high in the AHL. Let's see one of your
look at that beard
going. That is Calder Cup 2017, 2018. You got to play back-to-back years, right? With 2 different teams.
I did. And that's really unique. I didn't know it until the time, but that had last happened in the early 90s with Olaf Kolzig playing on 2 different teams in back-to-back finals in the American League for the Calder Cup. The difference is Olaf Kolzig won one of those and I did not. I lost in both. 2017, which is what you see here at the Syracuse Crunch. We lost in Game 6 to the Grand Rapids Griffins and the Detroit Red Wings affiliate. And then the following season in 2018, with the Texas Stars, we went to Game 7 against the Toronto Marlies, the Toronto Maple Leafs affiliate. We were the Dallas Stars affiliate. And, it's funny because sometimes you look at losing efforts and you think you failed, you didn't reach your goals. And of course we wanted to win. Everybody wants to win, but the first year really stung. It was amazing to get to that level. It hurt that we didn't win. It was a close series. But the next year, really, and then this is just a great shot. I mean, full building in Syracuse. We had so much fun playing. There were such great fans. I mean, we hit 110 decibels in Syracuse. I mean, that's like louder than Motorhead. You know what I mean? Right. So it's just amazing. Grand Rapids, they filled the building 12 grand full. And in the minor leagues, it didn't feel like it. It felt like the big stage. And we were the last games on earth those years, I think June 13th and 14th. The following season, like I say, again, with Texas Stars, it was the best hockey I ever played in my life. And our team played well. We scored when we needed to, and we were so close. We had so much fun. We were throwing huge barbecues after every round and playing sand volleyball. And we lost in Game 7. And it hurt, but I also know it was the peak of my career. And just having that chance to play on, at that point, the biggest stage, and to really, you go into Game 7. This is it. Game 7 of the last game. This is your chance. And did everything we could and we came up short, but just playing those games so meaningful, everybody with their eyes on you, the pressure, and to be able to perform under pressure, that's really a special feeling as an athlete, and it's rewarding. And obviously it carries more gravity when you actually win. But like I say, just being there and having that experience was just amazing.
Hey, no doubt you had opportunities that millions of us wish we had. It's heartbreaking you didn't get to carry that trophy, that cup, but you got there back-to-back years, and that's incredible.
And kind of what's amazing to think is that we mentioned earlier my NHL career, and I won games in the NHL. I had a shutout in the NHL. There's only been 450 something people in the history of the world that have ever had a shutout in the NHL. I'm one of them. Sometimes I have to remind myself that, that you've done something very special. And those games were very special to me. My parents were there. I cried my eyes out afterwards at times, but I think anytime you talk to an athlete, being able to play for a championship, no matter what level it may be, you really remember those moments.
Fantastic. I want to go to later on in the career. Um, Here we are, Philadelphia Flyers.
Yep.
It's
And you're wearing a Bruins hat, so you got a little rivalry going here.
I definitely do. And here's one thing I got going too, is that your year 2019, you started in Ottawa. You were traded to Vancouver. Then somehow you got to playing with Philadelphia.
Yep.
What a year.
Incredible. I started the year going to the Ottawa organization. It was coming off of that Calder Cup run with Texas. And it was a big commitment for our family. I had 2 little girls at the time, my wife and I and our dog were, okay, we're going to go to Canada. We've never done this before. So we got it set up with the schools, made sure this was the right thing for our family. And I went to Belleville, Ontario to start the season. And I was there for about a month, and I got called up to Ottawa and was there for the next 2 months away from my family. So I hadn't seen them for more than 4 or 5 hours for 2 months, while my family's stuck in Belleville, Ontario, and I haven't seen them at all, right, in the Canadian school system. And then, as you said, I got traded. And it started this wild tour where I played for 5 different teams my last season pro, 3 of them in the NHL. Now, Vancouver doesn't show up if you look at my statistics, because I didn't actually play in the games, but I dressed 2 of them. And the travel aspect was just crazy. I go from Ottawa, where I dressed in the morning skate for the Ottawa Senators, and then I backed up for the Vancouver Canucks that night against the Ottawa Senators. Isn't that wild? We flip-flop goalies. So I look like a kaleidoscope with my equipment, completely mismatched. But we flew after that to Montreal. I backed up that night in Montreal for Vancouver, and immediately after that, we flew to Toronto, where we had a day off. Well, during this process, I'd been put on waivers because the intention of Vancouver was to send me to Utica, their minor league team, to promote Thatcher Demko to the NHL, to give him his opportunity. Well, what Vancouver didn't expect was apparently I was a hot commodity, because I had 2 teams put waiver claims in on me. It was Toronto and Philadelphia. And at the time, Philadelphia was the worst team, so they got stuck with me. And so I ended up going to Philadelphia, and I think I backed up Carter Hart for the better part of a month and something there. I did play 1 game against Washington, which ironically, I played Washington more than anybody in my career. And as you can imagine, my numbers reflect that when they have Alexander Ovechkin and Nicholas Backstrom, who made my life miserable. But so yeah, I ended up my travel was 3 days, 3 different teams. I went from Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, Philadelphia, and then kept going with them all around that last season, and then ended up with Lehigh Valley, their minor league affiliate. Finally, by March, maybe even, my family comes down. We transferred my daughter from schools in Canada to Lehigh Valley in Allentown, Pennsylvania for a month. And then we ended up going back to St. Louis in the summer. My daughter was in 3 kindergartens. To say I rode the carousel that year is an understatement. But I look back at now, and it was my career, and I'm proud of my career and my journey. And it may have been hectic at the time, but it's something you can look back at now and kind of get a kick out of it.
Yep. Congrats on so many things. Doing a little research on you, I learned how well you were liked in the locker room by the coaches, by other players. I mean, obviously your career, your persistence, and your attitude brought you to where you are today. And that's in the NHL in another capacity now. So if you could tell me a little of how you landed the Vegas Golden Knights gig and where you are today.
Well, at first, just really fortunate. I'm studio analyst for the Vegas Golden Knights and do other things as well. We constantly have programming going within our organization that's beyond even TV, which is really cool, whether we're doing things through social media or through a YouTube page or through a program on AT&T Sportsnet out west that is called Nightlife. So there's a lot of different things, but my main gig is as studio analyst. And I started to do a podcast on my own right after I retired, which ironically I had been recording while I was playing. So I wanted to put it out while I was playing. I didn't like the optics. I waited on it. So I had all these different things that I was trying to do to set myself up for a life after hockey that could help me. And I think the big catalyst for me really was this social media account, McKenna in Game, where I was analyzing goaltending and gameplay and taking that to the masses. Well, that turned into me getting a little bit of time on NHL Network during the playoffs a couple of years ago. Got on stage for the first time on TV, put makeup on for the first time, and didn't know what I was doing, but it went well. And I'd also previously had a couple of tryouts in media, one for a color job in radio, one for an analyst job on TV. But those were during the summer between Texas and Ottawa. And I decided I want to play one more season. I want my youngest daughter to remember me as a hockey player. And that's what I decided to do. So I didn't pursue those two opportunities beyond the initial interview. And lo and behold, the summer that I retired, I get a call from Vegas. I'm not sure who made the initial connection because it wasn't me, which is amazing that it was kind of out of the blue that they'd recognized some of these abilities and interests of myself, and flew out to Vegas, did the interview, and walked out of Vegas and thought, I think there's a chance here. And sure enough, they offered me the job, and I'm in my second year now being the studio analyst for the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's been an interesting experience. There's been a lot of learning, but a lot of fun, talking hockey, researching it, talking to friends around the league to get those inside stories. It's been really rewarding, and it's been amazing to be able to stay in the game.
Well, Mike, I got a little technical glitch. You were the only one on the screen there for a little bit, so we're just going to see you to wrap this up.
Yep.
It's been an incredible journey. You still look like you're in great shape. If Coach DeBoer called you, could you get out in the ice and play tomorrow night if he needed you?
My ego says yes. Reality says no. I have kept in pretty good shape. I'm not going to tell you that's from a lot of athletic activity. I think in all honesty, COVID's kind of curtailed even my comfort levels when it comes to working out. I don't want to be in a gym right now until things get better. I don't want to play hockey until I think things are in a safer spot. So have I gained a lot of weight? No. Am I still as strong as I was when I played? No. But you know what? Last year, I was lucky. I got to practice with the Golden Knights on occasion when the goalies needed a break in practice. That hasn't happened this year. I'm not sure if it'll ever happen again, but that scratched my competitive itch. It was so much fun. There was no pressure. It was great. So if Pete DeBoer was in a pinch and they needed somebody out of nowhere, if they depleted every single last option throughout the organization, sure, I'd toss the gear on and hop out there, but I'm fearful of what it would do to my career stats.
Well, I love it, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time to walk us through the whole career today, at least some of those great moments. Thank you so much for being on the show. Hold on, I'm going to talk to you a little bit afterwards, and thank you. All right, I'm back. I want to thank Mike McKenna again for a great run through his 18-year professional career, and mention that next week our guest will be Roger Dow. For the past 16 years, he's been the head of the U.S. Travel Association, but he has promised that we'll get through our interview without talking about work, only about profound moments in his amazing career. Thanks for watching. Aloha.